that, the residential payers paid continuously, continue to pay very well. So I think we're going to be in good shape. So then you get back on page 11, again, another recap of the benefit allocation. You see that we've removed the golf course and the commercial property, so you have your 1,119 units. What does that mean in terms of the assessment apportionment per unit? You can see the 13,060.77, and that's per unit. And then you have an amount before you add in cost of collection of 1,016 cents, and then you have the cost with the cost of collection, which is the 4% discount and the minimal amount that the tax collector and property appraiser charge for placing on the property tax bill, ending at $1,044.44. And again, these numbers are going to be significantly lower when we get to the other side, trust me. So this is just for validation.
It's the maximum amount.
It's a maximum amount. You always want to validate a 20-25% above what you're really looking for, and that's where we're.
I heard 14 million. What?
14,615,000.
What's that?
You can actually have this when I'm done. Okay.
Okay.
Is that the bond?
That is the validation amount. That's what we're going to circuit court to validate, and this report backs up that number. When we get ready to actually issue the bonds and we go to market for the bonds, it's going to be significantly lower than that. We're going to end up likely a debt service reserve that's 50% of annual debt service or less. This anticipates 100%. So you cut that number in half, which was about $1 million. You're going to have interest rate's going to probably, the blended interest rate is going to be something significantly lower than 5 right now in the modeling. They've put 5 in there just to be conservative, to push this number up for validation purposes. Okay, so this is worst case scenario. Just
Every
to get
time we've
validated.
done a bond, we have to do the validation, and the numbers have always been higher than what the bond has come out, because you don't have to go back and revalidate.
And you're paying all that money again. So yeah, you go as high as you can, knowing that the bottom line is going to be here.
Just for comparison, when you validated the 1998 bond, it was just north of 22 million, and what actually got issued was something about 3 million less than that.
And the current copy of that?
Yes, you can have a copy of this. It should actually be on the website now in the recently updated electronic file that's on there. But you can have this hard copy.
Yes, the golf course bond currently is at 7%, but we were really in dire straits at that point in time and didn't have much of a choice.
So any questions on that? That's how we make sausage.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may ask.
Again, a couple meetings ago, I didn't attend the March 31st meeting, but I had asked several questions which were answered by questions that were asked by Mr. Micah, and that was very helpful in terms of reviewing this information. And one of the questions I had asked was, what originally did U.S. pay for that? And we said, oh, there's all kinds of confusion. The things, but looking at the tax records, he paid $1,450,000 for this property.
Right.
That's the tax record.
Right.
And we're going to pay $6.7 million.
It was appraised at $6.8 million.
I got all that. And
Okay.
I think I told you at the time, you're probably going to get any appraisal you want. But 1.45, I'm concerned whether we really tried to negotiate that price of 6.7.
Okay, the appraisal came in at 6.8, and that's
Okay,
where we're
well,
at.
that was, the appraisal was done after the negotiation.
A lot has changed here over the last 19 to 20 years, and property values have certainly gone up with that. This whole corkscrew corridor, Ben Hill Griffin, that's all that nice development and all those conveniences for shopping, yeah, they tend to drive up property values.
Okay. That might be, but I think that it's It's just an opinion.
Yeah.
House on Brixham, the house on Brixham just sold for $500,000.
What did?
House on Brixham just sold for $500,000, and it was originally sold for about $125,000. So
Well, I would say that's probably
where we are.
accurate. And I would say from whenever you bought your house, probably the value is probably about double.
Well, the villa on Orange just sold for $435.
Yeah, but not 5 or 6 times, which is what.
Well, okay, so,
Okay,
but that's the
and
price
the
we're
other-
getting.
Yeah, and I've got another thing here. And the reason I asked the property tax value thing, he's currently, the value on the taxes, the assessed value is like $1,168,000. So his property taxes are $17,000 a year. Now, I assume that this number will change when you purchase it, and I don't know exactly where it's going to be. I assume you did in your models here. But it's going to go up significantly from that $17,000. Is it going to be $100,000?
Be a reset.
I have no idea. We
Well,
have
I
to-
just thought maybe that was built into the model.
Again, there's a lot of numbers that I cannot discuss.
You know that number, though?
No, we won't know until the tax assessor comes in and gives it to us, but in the model, in doing that, yes, we have anticipated that.
Okay, so that's in your bond number there, the
It's
increase.
not in the bond.
It's not in the bond.
That's an operating cost.
That's an
This bond is a capital purchase.
Is real estate property such as a business use where taxes are being incurred from a business revenue standpoint different than a homeowner's tax assessment? It's lower, correct?
Yeah, commercial.
Commercial property is lower.
Yeah.
The property appraiser is supposed to use the criteria adopted by the Florida Department of Revenue in evaluating and determining the appropriate values of property, whether commercial, residential, or industrial, and there are various guidelines that they utilize. Whether or not there are any caps or exemptions are different for both, for residential and or commercial. And that's a call from the property appraiser, and if the district is unhappy with the valuation assigned by the property appraisal, you can always file petitions with the Value Adjustment Board. Now, I tell you that 99% of the petitions in the Value Adjustment Boards are not accepted or they're rejected. There are very few. I've been through a number of those in the past. But also typically, without getting into the details of any lease, I believe our lease is a triple net lease. And in a triple net lease, the proportionate share of the taxes are paid by the tenants.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I can't go into any further detail than that, but.
Now, one of the other things that I noticed in terms of those questions was that the income from Duffy's is going to be put into the reserve fund. Is that correct? That's what.
Yeah, but it is not going to pay the bond, correct?
Right, but we're going to pay the bond. I'm going to pay the
Correct.
bond. So they're going to go into that reserve fund, and I don't know, what is it currently, 800,000, did you say?
In the general fund, we have a surplus fund balance of a little over $1 million.
$1 million or whatever it is. So can you give us any idea at all as to what that number would be?
Nope, not at this point in time. I've signed a non-disclosure, I cannot discuss the dollar amounts. We've gone over this many times.
Yeah.
I've told you exactly what I can, even the board members don't know this. Would I trade places with any one of them to have gone through all this? Absolutely. Love talking to you guys. As a matter of fact, my husband said to me the other day, "You're not talking to Chuck and Tony much anymore, are you?" Again, I would like to share it, I cannot at this point
Will
in
you
time.
be able to?
Yes.
Or will we just have to wait?
No.
Once it's closed, yes.
Once we go through settlement and the document is sold, signed, and it is ours, yes, at that point in time,
Well, we'll double check whether or not it's something that we can deem to be confidential and whether the board wants to waive that. That's something we'll wait
yeah,
until
we'll have to wait.
after
But at this
closing.
point in time, I cannot, and I do not in any way want to jeopardize anything that we've gone this far. So no, I cannot discuss it.
I find that incredible.
Well, the bottom line is,
You know, I know.
Can you just give them the law? Can you just give them the law so we can read it?
Well,
What's the statute?
Okay, right now we have the trade secrets. The information has been delivered to us as trade secrets. And under the Florida statutes dealing with trade secrets, unauthorized release of trade secrets subjects the releasing person to criminal penalties. And so the contract, which was negotiated and signed back in December of 2021, provided for certain documents to be deemed trade secrets, and they were delivered with an affidavit and with a stamp indicating they were trade secrets. And so we've been careful to make sure we complied, both the manager, myself, the appraiser, and the chair, comply with the trade secrets and the designation of such.
And we did these all in hard copy, so it couldn't be hacked through the computers or anything. So,
Yes.
I mean, we've been very diligent
Right.
in doing this, so.
Let me ask you this, since you seem to be the one that signed the
It's not a non-compete, let's make it clear, it's not, there's no non-disclosure agreement, in my opinion.
It's trade secrets.
It's not allowed. The seller delivered the documents designating them as trade secrets under the Florida law, which he is allowed to do. And when a person in public sector receives documents that are designated trade secrets, they cannot be released without the approval of the person who delivered them and designated them as such, unless that person wants to be civilly and potentially criminally liable. There are penalties associated with it. So those are the constraints or conditions, and that was listed in the sales contract that was negotiated and brought back in December.
Well,
That's fine.
since, again, that you were involved in that particular negotiation, whatever it was, and you analyzed, all of the data and that, especially regarding, the restaurant business is changing quite dramatically. I mean, anybody.
We discussed this at the
I
prior
understand that we
meeting.
did, but I'm just telling you, even
is
in the last
changing.
couple of months, it's changed
Absolutely.
dramatically. Do you have any reason to believe that they would not be able to meet
No,
those payments?
no. Okay. Okay, Chip, where are we now? Go ahead.
All right, final step in the process
Any
here
other questions?
is, yeah,
Any questions from the board on the assessment methodology of the report?
I think everybody's good. All right, final step in the process is Resolution 2022-03, and this actually is a resolution that makes reference to the district's authorizations under Chapter 190 of the Florida statutes for systems, and ensuring that in fact what you are considering is appropriate under Chapter 190, and then also takes into consideration the supplemental engineers report, which will be attached as Exhibit A and as was presented to you this morning, and also approves the supplemental assessment methodology report, which I just completed presentation to you all, and sets a public hearing date, as we had talked about earlier, will be set for May 31st. That happens to be an evening meeting in May, so we'll
May
make it
31st.
6
p.m.
6 p.m. at this location, and then we will be sending out notices to all affected property owners, and doing the proper advertising within the local newspaper, which we have set up to do twice, and I think Tony will tell you, in his opinion, it has to be done once, but
Twice does not help.
out of an abundance of caution, we will run it twice, which is what we typically like to do, so.
And I've already secured the
And
room.
we will fill in these blanks based upon the reports that were just presented to you.
Okay.
Okay? With that,
I make a
resolution
motion
is in
to
order.
accept this resolution, 2022-03. All those in favor?
That was Mike? Mike on the second?
Yes, Mike, I'm
Okay.
second.
Gotcha.
Phil did.
Bill
Oh,
Simons.
Phil did, okay, great. I want to make sure.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Great. Thank you very much. We're off and running.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. Okay.
Statute's funny.
The financials.
Well, before that,
Oh,
Madam Chair,
we have
I think we have 7D and E.
Oh,
It's agreement with, for underwriting services.
Yes.
And then the agreement with Neighbors Giblin for bond counsel and disclosure.
Part of your financing team that we've brought to the table to work with you on this issue, FMS bonds. We use them on a lot of our projects. And one thing you'll see here is that your interest in is item 2, which is the, what they will charge, which is 2% of the par amount. And also very important is the attachment 2 in the back here, and this is the G17 Disclosure, something that they've been required to do for a number of years now, essentially indicating that this is kind of an arm's length transaction. They are not representing you as a financial advisor, so it's real important that they make that disclosure and you acknowledge it. So they attach that to their underwriter agreements. So other than that, this is pretty standard and recommended for your approval. And just to let you know, in terms of new bonds, I'm seeing the underwriter discs are like 2.5%, so you are getting a break on this one.
Okay.
At 2%, okay.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the FMS bonds.
Second that, I do have a question on that first. Isn't that a typo, that first line?
It says Two Rivers.
Yeah, what's that?
It's not even issued.
Two Rivers?
Well, good, let them pay it.
Yeah, we'll send the bill to Two Rivers.
So I don't know, can we obviously?
Yes, with that correction.
Yeah, with that correction.
With that correction. yes.
Absolutely.
I will redo my motion. I make a motion that we accept FMS bonds with the change from Two Rivers North Development District to Stony Brook CDD.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then we have,
And then we have Neighbors Giblin serving as your bond counsel.
and we have Stony Brook in there.
Yes,
And,
Is that who we used in the past? I didn't go back and look.
yes, I believe, I think they have.
yes, back in the day, it was Danny Tyler. Today, it is Cynthia Wilhelm.
It's the same firm, yeah.
Same firm.
It kind of sounded familiar, but
They're really good to work
I didn't
with.
dig back through to look.
I make a motion to accept the bond counsel for Neighbors.
And Disclosure Council agreement.
And disclosure. Bond counsel and disclosure council agreement for Neighbors Giblin and Nickerson.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, now we can go to the unaudited financials. First thing, at this point in time, we received from Murray the cash balance as of last Friday was $880,782. And I will say, having done all my spreadsheets over the last years, back in 2016, we were at $885,000. Since then, we have been below this, so not only are we at the $880,000, all payables, other than for the local sheriff, are paid, and we
I'm
are...
sorry, this is golf course or general fund?
Golf course.
Oh, okay.
And we are currently $290,000 over where we were last year at this time with the debts we had. So the course has done great, and Jeff and John have done great maintaining their budgets. Okay. The governmental funds, we're doing fine with that. Everything's okay here. Jump in if you guys have any questions with the general fund. We've discussed the general fund and the assigned balances we have. Hopefully, we don't have any need for the hurricane stuff this year, but you never know.
I'm assuming the jump in legal and engineering is just based on everything we've gone through.
Yes.
Most of it's probably attributable to the contract, probably.
Yeah, and at that point in time, when this will all be included as part of the bond, and Chuck, this will come back to this.
Yes.
Yes.
So that'll clean that up.
That'll clean that up. That's, yeah.
Pretty intense.
And even replacing some of the money that we've done for the deposits and all.
Right.
So this will come back. Okay, the revenue, or the bonds for the residents, we have an interest and principal payment May 1st, And then we will be down to only $336,000. So we just have one more year of doing that, so we're in great shape there. Irrigation fund, we're fine with that. Chuck, I noticed that you did get that corrected, so that the assessment levy is comparable to the rest of it.
Yes.
Okay. Because we threw me off last month.
Yeah, they had transposed the amounts to the account,
Okay.
so that's what blew that up.
I think 'cause that was just, I'm thinking, who kept all that money?
I have to pay for retirement somehow.
Somehow, okay. Okay, and the golf course fund, we seem to be in good shape with that. Going through the line by line, the golf course is at 112% of year-to-date budget, so you guys are doing great. Expenses are down. I'm sure expenses will go up. Right now, John seems to be lower in expenses, but that's because most of his work is being done this summer. I have one question. The insurance cost has gone up a bit, as all homeowners insurances have. I was looking at the expenses down here, the group insurance, it's still all going to the concession. I don't know how we can get that changed. But looking at the pro shop and the maintenance, their group insurance is way under budget, so it's just one paying the other. So I need to get back on the phone with Jeff to have him, we agreed to percentage-wise doing this. But right now, the concession has $45,000 in health insurance, and nobody there has health insurance.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then the pro shop is like $15,000 under budget with that, and maintenance is like $28,000, so that's where the money is, so we need to split that up. So, Chuck, do you want me to contact Jeff and speak with him? Or?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, you have a percentage in mind?
Well, yeah, Crosby and Roy have gone through it a couple times. I thought maybe it was going to happen. I don't. Crosby could speak more to what it is, but it's budgeted fairly correctly. I would say John's might be a little heavier than what's there, and mine a little lighter, because...
Well, John's is $28,000 below budget, you're $14,000 below budget.
And so insurance, I think, there's only a couple people in my department carrying insurance currently.
I'll talk to Crosby, and then we'll call rolling with Jeff and get it straight.
Yeah, I mean, if we have, we can identify from the roster of employees who's in what.
Yeah.
Then I think they get that itemized.
Yeah.
I think that bill comes in itemized, so they can split them spot on accurately, so.
And we
just don't know who's on the golf course and who's in the pro shop kind of thing.
We pay that bill outside of the normal pay for weekly payroll, because we went with something that was a little less expensive.
Right.
I know, I see that on payables, that bill come through, so, I mean, it shouldn't be.
But it should be easy.
Super difficult.
Crosby and I sat and went through that, so I will work with Crosby and Jeff and Rory to get that where it belongs, because that was the only,
It's left pocket, right pocket, but it's just kind of,
yeah, it looks like you're
It should
way out of
be
line.
accurate. If we're going to do it, let's just do it
Right.
accurately, so.
The range is doing great, Jeff.
well, I mean, with the closure of Alico, that's,
Yeah.
we're just about it, and Williams Road's gonna close here at some point, because the city bought that property.
Who did that?
So, I mean, we're gonna be just about it.
The only show in town?
And we're gonna have to look at replacement of the mats a lot sooner than we thought, but that's something we can cross that bridge in a couple of months.
Okay. Alrighty, and your alarms are lit, huh?
Yeah.
We'll work on that. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
On the general fund, Chuck, we had something called a capital outlay of $240,000.
Yeah, that's,
With no budget? What is
that was the deposit to the building.
Plus some other.
Yeah, we had initially made a $67,000 deposit, which I think, it represented 1%. And as a part of the addendum, the agreement, we actually had to supplement that with, what was it, another 241?
200, yeah.
To bring it up to 5%, basically.
Right, to bring it up to 5%. I think
So
I
that
I
read.
assume that's the cost prior to the,
Right.
Santos, that was the deposit. That was the earnest deposit for buying the
and
building.
the rest of it was for
To extension.
water maybe, or
Well,
engineering?
we paid, in total, $300,000, I don't think, I'm not sure what it was, as a deposit. That money is coming from the
$379.
that money is coming from the general fund, which will go back to the general fund when the bond is finalized.
Yep.
So that will go back to the general fund.
Has nothing to do with it.
No, the question was raised about the legal fees, for Chuck's office, my buildings have been separated from general work for the district and work specific to that transaction.
So that we
So that
know
Chuck
what-
has
It's a
a
different
detailed
task number.
accounting of the work I did just on that transaction.
Okay. Can I submit mine? Can I submit my bill?
Pro bono has 7 letters in it.
Yes, okay.
2 words, 7 letters.
Okay, so at this point in time, the net position at the end of March was positive $245,000, so we are in very good shape.
I did have a question, or just
Yes.
just curious. Would it benefit us any by go ahead and paying off the 2014 bond? I mean,
For the
how much?
residents?
Yeah, I mean, we have roughly 150,000 in that fund in reserve. We do have the money in the general fund to make up the difference.
You have to be careful in doing that because the various product types, I believe, are assessed a little differently. But yeah,
I was just curious.
we take a run at those numbers and see what it would take to do that for this upcoming year.
Okay.
We got in there, we got 51, 2, we're sitting on 100%, no, 50% reserve. Okay.
That makes sense. I mean, if we can...
Take a look at it and see if we can retire it early.
Start
Yeah,
early and maybe save a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
know.
right. I mean,
Yeah, so 20,
Is your early payment?
22,000?
No.
No, sir. No.
That would make it a little easier for the new one.
the new bond, and we don't even have to carry a little bit over for next year.
Right.
Okay.
We'll take a look at
Yeah,
that.
let's take a look at that. Give it a chance. All right.
Certainly before we start the new assessment.
Yes, that would be... Okay.
Mark,
Okay.
That was my only question / comment.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I mean, it would be nice to get that over with sooner than later. And for the golf course note for the bunker renovation, we have a payment in August, about $130,000 to pay that off. So I would rather use the money for the cutting green and continue to pay this rather than continue. Can I have a motion to accept the financials?
I make the motion.
Second? Mike seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll go through the minutes of the March 22nd meeting. I'm going to ask you guys to give your changes.
Madam Chair, on page 3,
Page 3, yes.
line 87,
Yes.
at the end, mediating, should that be remediating? Jeff, I think that John was talking about.
Yeah.
Remediating.
Remediating, okay.
I'll give you these pages.
Did we get the truck?
The truck will be delivered the end of May. It's all done, it's all put together.
They're going through and doing their inspections on it right now. I got a note on it, I think it was over the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's been built, and they're doing final inspections, and
So that was November, December, January, March, April. So it only took 7 months.
only 7 months. It took me 3 months to get one that was already built.
Okay. I spoke with John about the course closure starting Monday. The course will be closed this Monday through the end of September, except for the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and the day of that, the week of that tournament, or the death first. The flowers were delivered yesterday, and they're installing them as we speak. John is still short a assistant mechanic, irrigation tech, and a laborer. They're having a tough time. People call and, set up interviews and never show up. But he's been diligent in calling the unemployment office and saying they never showed up.
Good for her.
So she's getting a little annoyed when, then she calls him back and her number's blocked. So you know that they're just trying to set up interviews so that they can say that they can get it. So
Yeah.
she's calling unemployment. So I'm like, okay. I didn't have any other, on page 6, line 175, Weymouth is W-A-Y-M-O-U-T-H. Okay. And on line 184, ask for the decision as to today. Mr. Evans, there's something have to continue. Mr. Pierce would.
Oh, yeah, I'd suggest that on line 184, that read, Mr. Pierce would attempt to provide Ms. Gibbs, and then cross off the for and insert with. So it would be, Mr. Pierce would attempt to provide Ms. Gibbs with the Lee County zoning records.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, if I may go back to page 5 for a
Yes.
moment. At the top on line 138, strike survey and insert the word title work. On line 189, strike the OR on surveyor, it would just be survey. It's on line 189 on page 5. The staff provided various objections to the surveyor, it should be to the survey.
189?
Yes. 139, excuse me.
139,
I punched a hole through the, it looked like an 8, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
And then on line 150, strike the word obtained and make that conveyed, C-O-N-V-E-Y-E-D. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 7. On line 235, that wasn't Mr. McFall. Who did an inspection?
Oh, that was Mr. Burford.
Mr. who?
Burford, your engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like McCall.
Okay. Okay, I don't know if John heard back from that gentleman on,
Page 297 was me, not Phil, not the other Phil.
Not the other Phil?
Yeah, it's me.
And Madam Chairman, on page 9, line 280, in the middle of it, change the word save to make. Thank you.
any other changes? Can I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? There are the minutes from the March 31st meeting.
Didn't see this one. Were they in the packet?
Yeah. Good go.
Are we all settled with the HOA attorney, Tony?
Mr. Falk drafted an affidavit from the president to sign that I'm comfortable with. I've sent it twice to Mr. Regano.
Okay.
To have him, that's tax attorney, and asking him to forward that to the underwriter for the title insurance and see if that would be sufficient.
Okay,
But I appreciate Mr. Falk doing that.
okay, very good. I did not have any changes for, you guys have any changes? Can I make a motion to accept the minutes from the March 31st meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept.
See,
All
just
those in
like that.
favor? Opposed? Oh, second.
Second.
Bill Simonson seconded.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
I got you.
Tony, do you have anything else? Oh, the sidewalk easement.
Yes, just briefly on that, if you recall, the village proposed a form of the sidewalk easement to the district, made some changes. The village has accepted those changes.
Okay.
And then with regards to the sidewalk easement that proposed on the 4.22 acre portion of the property that the district was buying from TAC, I made the same changes and the village accepted those. And the easement from TAC to the village has been prepared. A revised legal description was prepared because the Duffy sign up front would have been on the edge of the sidewalk. The village wants to have a 12-foot wide sidewalk easement. The Duffy sign was 11.9 feet away from the right-of-way. So the village then revised the legal description and sketch to have a bump out. And then that was acceptable to me. I forwarded that to Mr. DeSalvo and his attorney. And the response was, if it was acceptable to me, they were fine with it. So I then forwarded it to the village and then had a conversation with David Willems at the village that the village needs to also get the consent and joinder of the mortgage holder. It's Finemark. That's the mortgage holder that we paid at the time of closing. They need to consent to the easement. The reason why you want to get the mortgage holder's consent to any easement is that if there's ever foreclosure of the property, it won't